It's Soccer Talk on CL 650. Now broadcasting from the Barber & Co. studios, here's your host, Tyler Green.
The Canadian women face the Swiss in the round of 16 at the FIFA Women's World Cup. The Caps win in New York as David Ousted comes up big and Abby Wambach doesn't like the turf. Good evening and welcome right here to Soccer Talk on CL 650 as we broadcast from the Barber & Co. studios. My name is Tyler Green, on Twitter at Tyler Green FC. The show also available online at www.cil650.com. Thank you for listening to us, whether that's live, downloading the podcast, or what have you. The kickoff of Soccer Talk is brought to you by KO, Kevin O'Toole, and findaproperty.ca. Check out the condo located on Lower Lonsdale in North Vancouver, or online at findaproperty.ca. That's Kevin O'Toole, licensed realtor with Royal LePage Sussex, online at findaproperty.ca. Kevin had 2 properties come up on his website since the last show. They are both sold. That's what Kevin can do for you at findaproperty.ca. Well, the Canadian women are battling at the FIFA Women's World Cup, advancing to the round of 16, winning their group, but they still haven't looked great just yet. They still need to take their game to the next level, especially if they want to move on in this competition and beat the Swiss. I was going to throw in the Swiss cheese, but I won't. They play them on Sunday afternoon at BC Place Stadium. It should be an electric atmosphere. Earlier tonight, we were told only 300 tickets remaining to that game. It should be a sold-out crowd. Sellout crowd, over 52,000 at the USA game the other day against Nigeria. It was loud in there. Regardless of whether you like what the American fans were chanting, it was loud, and hopefully it is even louder tomorrow for the Canada versus Swiss match. But Canada, like I said, if they want to win this game, they need to start performing much better, and they need to get players to step up and score, or perhaps also just support Christine Sinclair.
Yeah, maybe we'll play with 13 or 12 players. That might help us. Look, I think in international tournaments, you could say the same for, Abby Wambach or whoever you want to, they only scored 1 goal, Marta, people, the top players are well dealt with, well looked after, and you absolutely need other players to come to the forefront. And that's what these tournaments do. All of a sudden, for England, young Fran Kirby steps up, and the next thing they're calling her the mini Messi. And that's what you're hoping happens in this tournament. In these stages now, this is where heroes arrive on the scene, and we really hope Canada is going to produce a couple of new heroes outside of Christine, because if they arrive, then Christine will find more space and time. And I think someone like Lawrence now, teams are going to have to work harder to deal with her. We'll make a few changes, not too many for this game, so there'll be a few more tactical problems, I think, for the Swiss coming into the match.
That's Canadian head coach John Herdman talking about, they need some support for Christine Sinclair, perhaps Ashley Lawrence, a player that can step up. The Canadian women have a number of players that can step up, but will they? And how far will this team go if they do or if they do not? It leads us to our Barber poll tonight, brought to you by Barber & Co. How far will the Canadian women's national team go at the FIFA Women's World Cup? The Barber poll is presented by barberandco.ca. Tweet us your thoughts with the hashtag Barber poll on Twitter at SoccerTalk650, at Tyler Green FC, or of course my co-host at SimonFudge74. The Barber poll, again, brought to you by Barber & Co. Gastown, Yaletown, the Financial District, Cambie and 18th, and on the corner of Main and 12th. You can find them on Twitter at Barber & Co. or, of course, online at barberandco.ca. And if you're watching on the webcast, they cut my hair about a week and a half ago, and it's still looking fine. All right, meanwhile, the Vancouver Whitecaps winning against the New York Red Bulls, but really could not have left, I guess technically, New Jersey with 3 points if it wasn't for the play of their goalkeeper, because David Ousted came up big.
He's been outstanding, but at this point he's not saved too many penalties. He guessed right on the first one. Bradley stepped up, and obviously I know that's his favourite way, so credit to David. And the second one, he's guessed right again. I have to give Bradley Wright Phillips a lot of credit for stepping up for the second penalty, because that's one of the hardest things in football. Once you miss the penalty, to step up again, and it wasn't his night tonight. It was my goalkeeper's night and my team's night, so we come out on the right end of that.
And the Whitecaps got some goals from a couple players who, one is kind of coming into his own at this point in the season, was looking great early on, but went through a bit of a dry spell, but now 2 goals in 2 games in Kekuta Manneh. Kians Froze, his first Major League Soccer goal, gets the game winner. That is what Canada needs to do at the Women's World Cup. Players that, one, have looked good, but finally hitting the net, and then getting one from somebody that is going to step up their game and get a big one for Canada. And the Whitecaps got that from Kians Froze, but those 2 big PK saves from David Ousted, well, those were huge saves, and hey, those are going to get you some big points in the MLS Fantasy. And have you signed up for the Soccer Talk Fantasy League yet? Visit facebook.com/SoccerTalkVan for the full details on the Soccer Talk Fantasy League contest. If you're one of the winners, you can win an Umbro prize pack. Find the latest Umbro products at umbro.com. All right, busy show. There's Canadian women chat. There's Whitecaps chat. We'll try to get in some Canadian men's chat, as well as some rosters were unveiled, and the Canadian men also moving on to the next round of World Cup qualifying. But up next, we welcome my co-host, Goal.com writer Simon Fudge, as he joins the program. And Simon Fudge and I, well, we're going to go head-to-head with the starting 11 next.
Follow us on Twitter at Soccer Talk 650 and at Tyler Green FC. This is Soccer Talk on Sea Isle 650.
What do you want?
A balcony so high it looks down into soccer matches at BC Place.
A pub I can walk to with a dozen big screens.
Kevin O'Toole has created findaproperty.ca to help you find it. Designed to be simply straightforward, findaproperty.ca is an invaluable tool. That's Kevin O'Toole, Royal LePage, Sussex, for buyers and sellers in the greater Vancouver area like you. So find what you want
A backyard big enough for my own soccer pitch.
at findaproperty.ca.
This summer, Canada's women's national team will be wearing Umbro jerseys as they play for glory in the world's most prestigious tournament. Umbro, the official uniform and gear supplier to the Canadian Soccer Association, is a supporter of all soccer, from local teams to the world stage. It's also the name worn by the world's top players. If you want your club to play a world-class game, equip and dress them in world-class gear. Find it at umbro.com. Umbro, tailoring football since 1924.
It's the perfect team. Destination Mazda and Tyler Green. Get them working for you to find the perfect vehicle to fit your needs, whether it's a new Mazda or pre-owned vehicle. With 0% financing, up to $1,000 in conquest dollars on select models, and Mazda's unlimited warranty, you've got to see Tyler Green at Destination Mazda. 1595 Boundary at First in Vancouver. Or email tgreen@destinationauto.ca to book an appointment. Or test drive the Mazda 3, CX-5, or all-new CX-3. Tyler's got yours.
Each fan who cheers, each fan who wears the colors, each fan who supports the club no matter what, makes us stronger, faster, a wall of blue and white. No matter what, we give our all on our honor. Join the club and experience the best sporting atmosphere in Vancouver. Save up to 43% on tickets. Packages start from $149. Visit whitecapsfc.com/tickets.
Not that your stylist at the salon isn't doing a good job, but man, you deserve the big red leather barber chair experience of Barber & Co. Here's how it works. Go to barberandco.ca. Book your appointment at one of the 5 barber shops in Gastown, Yaletown, the Financial District, Cambie at 18th, and now Main Street and 12th Avenue. You can just walk in, too, and get your hair cut, hot shave, buzz cut, fade, or beard trim experience. A great wedding party idea, too. barberandco.ca.
What do you want?
A balcony so high it looks down into soccer matches at BC Place.
A pub I can walk to with a dozen big screens.
Kevin O'Toole has created findaproperty.ca to help you find it. Designed to be simply straightforward, findaproperty.ca is an invaluable tool. That's Kevin O'Toole, Royal LePage, Sussex, for buyers and sellers in the greater Vancouver area like you. So find what you want
A backyard big enough for my own soccer pitch.
at findaproperty.ca.
This is Soccer Talk on CIL 650. Now broadcasting from the Barber & Co. studios. Here's your host, Tyler Green.
We'll hear from Kian Sprouse to talk about his first MLS goal, a match winner. David Osted's PK saves in the man of the match performance. We'll hear from him as well at about 10:45 this evening. Plus, Swiss journalist Andreas Babst talks about the Swiss team that Canada will face on Sunday at the Women's World Cup. With our coverage brought to you by findaproperty.ca. But right now, it is starting 11 time, brought to you by Destination Mazda. Tweet us your thoughts on this starting 11 on Twitter at Tyler Green FC, Soccer Talk 650, or my co-host as we welcome Goal.com writer Simon Fudge to the program. His Twitter handle is SimonFudge74. And Simon, number one, what does Canada need to do to defeat Switzerland in tomorrow's round of 16 clash at BC Place?
Get off to a good start and get the first goal of the game. I think that's the kind of game we're going to see tomorrow. They're going to have a predominantly pro-Canadian crowd, almost pretty much sold out. Got to get that crowd on side. So I think they need to get out and start bright and start lively and try and get that goal early and put the pressure on Switzerland and try and overwhelm them with the crowd atmosphere and with the pressure that they need to apply.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. That's what they need to do. I also think they need to get some performances from some of those players that I talked about off the start of the show that, like Kian Sprouse did for the Whitecaps, scoring that goal, somebody you wouldn't really expect to score that game-winning goal. That's what the Canadian women need. They need somebody else to step up their game, surprise Switzerland a little bit, that you're not going to expect to be that game winner, and that's what I think that Canada really needs.
Number two, who needs to step up for Canada to reach the latter stages of the Women's World Cup?
Well, there's lots of names, and I think defensively they have been pretty sound. I think they have all stepped up their game, played really well. Defensively, I think they're fine, but it's that offense side of things that really need to step up. And really, you could pick anybody from that midfield forward that needs to step up. I am going with anybody that has ever taken a shot on target is who needs to step up for Canada at this tournament.
Going to say Sophie Schmidt, first and foremost. Canada has needed more from her to this point. It was to be the other main piece to this team other than Christine Sinclair, who herself has got to show up now in these knockout stages. If Adrienne Leon gets an opportunity, we need to see a lot from her as well. And maybe Ashley Lawrence gave us a glimpse of being the difference maker in games. It needs to continue. But particularly for me, Christine Sinclair and Sophie Schmidt have got to be pivotal players if this team is going to last long in this tournament.
Number three, having defeated France in the group stages, can Colombia repeat the feat and upset the Americans in Edmonton on Monday?
I think it's possible. There's a lot about Colombia that I like. They've got quite a bit of skill in their lineup, and I think they've got a mentality that they're not afraid to take on anyone who they face. The Americans have flattered to deceive to this point, even in the game here on Tuesday against Nigeria. For all of their pedigree and their star quality of sorts, they have not hit the heights. And this Colombia side could ask quite a few questions of them if they're kind of strolling around in first gear, as I feel the Americans have been doing more or less during this tournament.
I think they can, obviously. Anybody can at this point surprise somebody. I don't think it's going to happen. I think the Americans are going to show their class, and they're just, I think, getting started. They're now in that position where I think they are starting to come together a little bit. There are still little things. I thought Nigeria was really able to use their speed against the American back line and really probably should have had a couple goals in that game. But I think the Americans are somehow, they're going to start to put things together, and I think they're going to see off Colombia with ease.
Number 4, is it disappointing or fantastic to see France, Germany, and the United States on the same side of the knockout stage bracket?
Well, it's a little disappointing in terms of wanting to see maybe a Germany and a United States playing in the final against one another, the number 1 and 2 ranked team. But I also like it because now all of a sudden in this knockout stage, you're going to get some great matches, and those games are going to mean so much more if they're playing against one another, and you're going to really see, I think, the cream rise to the top in this one. So I actually like it. I think it's really exciting to have those teams on the same side of the bracket.
As much as I totally agree with you, as much as it would have been nice to have two big guns in the final, it does set up one quarterfinal, particularly France versus Germany potentially, and then the semifinal between one of those two and the United States to be really, really interesting games you want to watch. So in a lot of ways, it creates more excitement for the entire knockout stage, which I think, particularly say if Canada can stay in it, I think a lot of people in this country are going to be tuning into for every game.
Number 5, is it right for Chile to keep Arturo Vidal in their squad after he was arrested for drunk driving in his native country this week?
It's a tough one because it goes to the question of morality. What he was doing out, intoxicated in his Ferrari, from what I hear, which I think he got into an accident with. It makes you wonder in the middle of a tournament what he was doing. Unless he got into an accident and hurt somebody, I think that's a bit of a different story. But from the sounds of it, I don't think that had happened. He did play yesterday in their final group game against Bolivia. And it was interesting to sort of read a lot of the things that he was just too important to leave out of the squad. And I thought, well, that's an interesting thing, a very cultural thing, because I think if this happened with a player playing for Canada or the United States or England for that matter, I think it would have been an entirely different story. The pressure that would have been put on the team to suspend that player because of the fact that they've done something immoral or not becoming of what a professional player should do would have been the case. So I find this to be a bit of an interesting one.
Okay, you talked a lot, Simon, but you didn't actually answer the question.
Well, I think he should have been at least left out of the last group game. And kept on the side. But if he didn't hurt anybody in this accident, then I don't think that's enough to take him out of the squad.
I think, like you said, at the very start, it's a morality issue, and I think you're setting a bad example by allowing him, saying, just because he didn't hurt anybody, it's okay to get drunk and drive your car. You only crashed it and maybe hurt yourself and the wall. I think they should have left them out. I think they should have kicked them off the team, at least for this tournament, and made it clear that it is not acceptable regardless of whether you hurt anybody or not.
Number 6.
Sorry, Simon. I don't normally jump in on the starting 11, but I got to say something about that one. I agree with Tyler. It's a very bad precedent. It's sort of making light of a serious issue, but if you take it like you're teaching kids, just because your daughter, your little son or whatever, is running around with scissors and doesn't hurt themselves that one time, doesn't mean you say it's okay to run around with scissors and let them keep playing. You know, you tell them, you stop them right there, and you make a serious issue out of it, and, you know, be thankful that an injury didn't occur in a situation like that, especially something as serious as drunken driving.
That's true, but it goes to the cultural situation that obviously that we're not South Americans.
Doesn't matter. You gotta change the culture.
That's right.
Yes, regardless of your culture, it is not acceptable.
Sorry, Simon.
Number 6. After headbutting an opponent at the end of Brazil's 1-0 defeat to Colombia at the Copa America, Neymar was handed a 4-match ban, thus ruling him out of the rest of the competition. Was the punishment well merited?
I'm going to say, yeah, you can't headbutt anybody. It goes to the same thing as, obviously different than drunk driving, but you're basically going against the rules of the game. You can't headbutt anybody, and I like that they're taking a very stern stance on things like this, and so I'm going to agree with giving him the 4-match ban. And yeah, even if it means you're out of the tournament, too bad. Don't do it.
Yeah, I agree. And it wasn't just the headbutt as well. He nailed a ball in the midsection of another Colombian player at the end of the game there. So I think the fact that he showed a level of petulance, and he was already on a yellow card when the incident happened, I think it is well merited, and it's Neymar's own fault for having put himself in that situation.
Number 7, after becoming U20 World Cup winners earlier on Saturday in New Zealand, will Serbia's success see them become a force in the game in the near future?
It makes me wonder if we should be keeping an eye on them. This Serbia under-20 side under Paunovic was really good to watch. I mean, they did ride a few touch-and-go games here. I think they were taken to a penalty shootout, had a bit of an epic game against the Americans and so forth. But they did very, very well. They were good on set pieces, these young players, and they're the next generation of players are coming through. And their under-21 squad is playing in the Euro under-21s as well. So you do wonder in the next 2 or 3 years, much like we saw great things of the old unified Yugoslavia, that Serbia, and even sort of Croatia in the breakup of the Balkans as well, that maybe Serbia is just turning the corner here.
I don't think it's going to happen. There's going to be some players that are going to be able to take that next step, play well with their club teams, and join onto that Serbian national team. I don't think it's going to change their hopes, and all of a sudden they're going to be a powerhouse over the next few years. I think they're going to improve, but I don't think to the extent that they're going to be one of those really teams that you're really going to have to worry about over the next few years.
Number 8, European Under-21 Championships have started this week in the Czech Republic. Which teams have impressed you, and what teams have disappointed you so far in the competition?
You know what? To be honest, I haven't been able to pay too much attention to this tournament with so many other things going on, but I just even look at the Germany team, and that's a team that I really look forward to seeing. Germany has really put out a lot of very good teams over the last number of years, and we've seen the development of these players onto a World Cup roster, and so Germany is the team that I'm really looking forward to seeing.
I like the look of Sweden. Their defeat of Italy to start the campaign was a very impressive one. They got the likes of John Guidetti in the lineup there, and I was kind of impressed by the way that they played. I do think the Germans look very, very powerful, as you say. It's a bit of a wide-open competition, but I would keep an eye out on the Swedes. I think they've got an under-21 side here that might do something towards the end of this tournament.
Number 9, Clint Dempsey was suspended 3 MLS matches for his conduct towards the match referee in Seattle Sounders' U.S. Open Cup loss to arch rivals, the Portland Timbers. Simon, did the punishment fit the crime?
I'd say no. I think he should have got more games. It was interesting having a conversation with some media members today at the Canadian Women's pregame press conference. They were one or two that actually felt that probably he should have merited upwards of half a dozen games in suspension. And when you consider what his misdemeanor was, and it was a serious one, ripping out basically the notebook from the hands of the referee, this cannot be tolerated. We don't tolerate putting your hands on the referee at any time and shoving him or knocking them over. You get severely punished for those things. Players have done so in the past. Paolo Di Canio comes to mind. So Clint Dempsey should actually consider himself quite fortunate that he only got 3 MLS games.
Yeah, he's pretty lucky in my book as well. I think that he probably would have ripped up my book, but he should get more games. I'd look at something like 5 in this one. Yeah, you can't do that. It's just terrible to do something like that. And so for me, it's a little disappointing that he just got what he did, just the 3 games. I do like that it is MLS matches, so they really just put this sort of broad spin on it that it's MLS games, and that I think is going to hurt the Sounders a little bit. So, I think it's a good punishment, but probably could have used a little bit more.
Number 10, what's the biggest positive for the Whitecaps during this extended road trip of theirs? 2 road wins in a row, Kekuta Manneh scoring 2 goals in 2 matches, or David Osked's PK stops in New York tonight?
Well, for me, obviously 2 road wins is great, but Kekuta Manneh, 2 goals, 2 games, is huge for me. He's getting going at the right time for the Whitecaps, who have traditionally not fared so well in the summer months. So if he can get going, especially with a guy that like Octavio Rivero, who seems a little bit snake-bitten at the moment, had a bunch of great chances today, hit the post. Looks like he is almost ready to kind of break out and score some goals again. But if they can get some scoring from a guy like Kekuta Manneh in this situation, that's just going to open up some more space for Rivero, Teixeira as well. And those guys are going to be able to get a little bit more space and time to do things. So for me, Manneh's 2 goals is huge for the Vancouver Whitecaps.
I'm going to focus on the 2 wins in a row so far on sort of the overall aspect because so much talk going into this extended road trip was how this Whitecap side was facing one of its biggest challenges of the season, and it was leaning towards how they were going to struggle to get points to this point. And they have gone out and gotten 6 points from a possible 9. It's given me quite a sense that where they have, as you say, struggled in the summer, I think they're on for having a pretty steady summer of results, and that sets up for a very exciting business end of the season when we get around to sort of late August, September, October time. It's an encouraging sign, and it shows me that maybe this is a side that has indeed turned the corner a little bit and is moving in the right direction.
And finally, number 11, how big of a loss will Kendall Waston and Gershon Kofi be for the Caps as they are now suspended for the next week's game in New England?
Well, the loss of Kendall Waston is a big one for sure. It most likely will mean now that Pamo Dukas and Diego Rodriguez, who have been, certainly in the case of Rodriguez, hasn't seen a lot of playing time, wasn't great in his last MLS performance, first team-wise, and Pamo Dukas, who can be a bit hot and cold, are going to have to partner up in the back, facing a very formidable Revolution side. Gershon Kofi, I think, can be replaced. I think Russell Tybert or even Debbie Flores could come in to replace him to go alongside Matias Laba in that sort of defensive midfield pairing. So really the loss is more so in the center back position for me.
Agree wholeheartedly. Can't say it any better. So I'm going to say exactly what you said, Simon. The starting 11 is brought to you by Destination Mazda. Need a new Mazda or perhaps a pre-owned vehicle? Visit Destination Mazda at 1595 Boundary Road at First Avenue in Vancouver. And hey, ask for me, Tyler Green. I'll be happy to get you into a new vehicle. All right, Whitecaps chat in 15 minutes. And speaking of the Caps, WFC2 play tomorrow against the Portland Timbers 2. You want tickets? Be caller 1 through right now to 604-280-0650, and you'll walk away with a pair of tickets to the Timbers 2 WFC 2 match tomorrow at Thunderbird Stadium. All right, as mentioned, Whitecaps chat in 15 minutes, but Alex Morgan, Abby Wambach, Christine Sinclair, and John Herdman talk FIFA Women's World Cup next.
Follow us on Twitter at Soccer Talk 650 and at Tyler Green FC. This is Soccer Talk on CIL 650.
What do you want?
A balcony so high it looks down into soccer matches at BC Place.
A pub I can walk to with a dozen big screens.
Kevin O'Toole has created findaproperty.ca to help you find it. Designed to be simply straightforward, findaproperty.ca is an invaluable tool. That's Kevin O'Toole, Royal LePage, Sussex, for buyers and sellers in the greater Vancouver area like you. So find what you want.
A backyard big enough for my own soccer pitch.
At findaproperty.ca.
It's the perfect team. Destination Mazda and Tyler Green. Get them working for you to find the perfect vehicle to fit your needs, whether it's a new Mazda or pre-owned vehicle. With 0% financing, up to $1,000 in conquest dollars on select models, and Mazda's unlimited warranty, you've got to see Tyler Green at Destination Mazda. 1595 Boundary at First in Vancouver. Or email tgreen@destinationauto.ca to book an appointment. Or test drive the Mazda 3 CX-5 or all-new CX-3. Tyler's got yours.
The Straight Razor Shave, a leading man classic. Steady hand coaxing the rugged face back to smoothness. This nearly lost art has found revival at Barber & Co. hot towel, straight edge blade, and your face. It's an experience that reminds you you're alive. You're a man in the company of history's finest men. Start at barberandco.ca. Pick your barber shop in Yaletown, Gastown, the Financial District, Cambie at 18th, and now Main Street and 12th Avenue. And relax into the big leather chair for the shave of your life.
At your desk, in the clubhouse, behind the wheel, on the throne. Now you can enjoy Soccer Talk with Tyler Green anytime, anywhere with the Soccer Talk podcast. Find it at CIL650.com/Soccer Talk, or if you're an iTunes subscriber, search Soccer Talk under podcasts. Stay in the game with the Anytime, Anywhere Soccer Talk podcast. Powered by Big Rock Urban Eatery. Serving up beer-inspired upscale pub fare, craft beer on tap, tasting room, and growler fills. 310 4th Avenue West and BigRockUrban.com.
Coach education continues to be a major priority for BC Soccer as mandated age-specific coach education is required by June 1st, 2016. BC Soccer offers and delivers Canada Soccer's national certification courses within the community sports stream, focusing on long-term player development stages, including active start, fundamentals, learn to train, and soccer for life. For more information on BC Soccer's coaching courses and registration, visit bcsoccer.net/coach or talk to your local soccer club, league, or district.
What do you want?
A balcony so high it looks down into soccer matches at BC Place.
A pub I can walk to with a dozen big screens.
Kevin O'Toole has created findaproperty.ca to help you find it. Designed to be simply straightforward, findaproperty.ca is an invaluable tool. That's Kevin O'Toole, Royal LePage, Sussex, for buyers and sellers in the greater Vancouver area like you. So find what you want
A backyard big enough for my own soccer pitch.
at findaproperty.ca.
Back. This is Soccer Talk on CIL 650. Now broadcasting from the Barber & Co. studios. Here's your host, Tyler Green.
Whitecaps 2, Red Bulls 1. A recap of the Caps shortly. With the Canadian women's national team talk in just a minute as they get set to face the Swiss. But first, the scoreboard presented by Via Tevere Pizzeria Napolitana. 1190 Victoria Drive, serving up true wood-fired Neapolitan pizza in East Vancouver. Simon?
Women's World Cup round of 16 has started. It was Germany 4, Sweden 1, and China beat Cameroon by a goal to nil. Tomorrow at BC Place, it's Canada versus Switzerland at 4:30 p.m. local time. And then on Tuesday at BC Place, Japan hosts the Netherlands at 7 p.m. Copa America, Chile beating Bolivia by 5 goals to nil last night. Both actually are through the quarterfinals today. It was Uruguay 1, Paraguay 1, and Argentina beat Jamaica by a goal to nil. In the Under-20 World Cup, it's congratulations to Serbia. They defeated Brazil after extra time by 2 goals to 1. Third place went to Mali, who beat their fellow African side, Senegal, by 3 goals to 1. In the European Under-21 Championships, it was Serbia 0, Czech Republic 4, and Germany 3, Denmark 0 in Group A. Tomorrow, Sweden play England, while Italy play Portugal. And finally in MLS, it was the Seattle Sounders losing at home to the San Jose Earthquakes 2-0. Toronto FC fell 2-0 at home to New York City FC. And tomorrow the big game is DC United against the New England Revolution.
Thank you, Simon. It is now time to talk about the FIFA Women's World Cup. Canada and Switzerland at BC Place on Sunday in round of 16 play. Our coverage of the ladies' game is brought to you by findaproperty.ca. Whether you're buying or selling your home, talk to Kevin O'Toole at Royal LePage, Sussex, online at findaproperty.ca. And, of course, you can talk some soccer while you're trying to get that home sold with Kevin as well. That's findaproperty.ca. We had the chance to hear from a few different members of the Canadian women's national team, including Christine Sinclair. And, well, does she feel like she is getting a little more attention from some of the opposition teams?
I think what I've noticed the most is that every team is that much better. You know, obviously there have been a couple blowouts in this tournament, but for the most part, it's very even. You see very close games. You don't see many, you do see a lot of upsets, and you see that most of the top goal scorers in the world. You know, you don't get many chances. You know, teams focus on you.
When you look at Switzerland, is it the type of game in which it's sort of you use the experience side playing the World Cup debutant that don't have the same level of experience on the big stage? Is it kind of one of those games?
Not at all. I mean, you look at a Switzerland, one thing that they play European Championships, which are just as difficult as World Cups are. That's one thing that the European teams have that we don't have. And all their players play professionally. They've played in Champions League games, so they're experienced. Yeah, this might be their first time as a team in the World Cup, but they have big game experience.
Without sort of giving away any specifics, what do you see being the kind of performance that you need to have on Sunday?
I just think we need to come out flying again like we did against Holland. I thought that first 15-20 minutes was some of the best soccer we've played this whole tournament. Obviously nice to get another early goal, but just to keep things tight defensively, not give them anything, and use the crowd to help us towards the end of the game.
There's Christine Sinclair talking to our very own Simon Fudge at Canadian training earlier this week. Meanwhile, Canada will be taking on a Swiss squad on Sunday, and head coach John Herdman breaks down the Swiss.
Very good team. They've definitely been an up-and-coming team over the last 4 or 5 years. And to see Bachmann now, when I'd met her some time ago with my New Zealand team, Bachmann was a young player, but now she's really matured into a top-class footballer, and put alongside Dickenman. Those two are a real threat. I mean, that's what people are looking for in the tournament. Those little partnerships, combinations that have got that flair and talent, and we have to deal with them. I mean, that's our biggest challenge. Really dealing with them and the organisation of the Swiss. They are impeccably organised defensively. Don't concede many goals, and they have a real attacking threat. So we're going to have to be at our best.
And Simon, you were able to obviously catch up with the Canadian side of things, but you also chatted with somebody who's familiar with the Swiss side of things.
That's right. Andreas Babst writes for a newspaper called the Neue Zürcher Zeitung, and follows the Swiss women's national team quite closely. And I had a chance to speak to him earlier today about the Swiss side.
I think they played good, but not as good as expected, actually. The offensive players, the three most known players, Bachmann, Dickenman, and Trnogorčić, they played a bad game against Cameroon. They didn't score. They didn't score as much as they should. So we hope they're going to score now against Canada. Yeah, I think they have good chances, actually, because seeing Canada playing that World Cup, I didn't see them that strong.
The second half against Cameroon, which you brought up, was a disappointing way to having been a goal in front at halftime, and then they went behind 2-1. Has that left a certain amount of concern or question over how far Switzerland can go in this Women's World Cup?
The team says no. The team says they left it all in Edmonton, that bad second half. For me, there was an impact in the team. How they played totally disorganized. You didn't see them playing well at all. They didn't get to score at all. They didn't even get to the zone, to the how do we call that? To the end zone.
Attacking third.
Attacking
third or into the penalty box.
Yeah, they didn't get into the penalty box at all. So for me, that left the impact. Although the team said they left it all in Edmonton.
They showed some glimpses of being a very good side. Probably could have gotten a draw here against Japan. Looked very good, obviously, against Ecuador, especially in the second half of that game. In fact, the two second-half performances here in Vancouver were very good. But the inconsistency, obviously, makes them a bit unpredictable. What do you think? What kind of Switzerland side do you think is going to show up tomorrow against Canada?
If what they tell us through that they left it all in Edmonton, I think it's going to be a confident Switzerland. Switzerland has nothing to lose against Canada. They playing first time. I think nobody of them ever played from a crowd that big. So I'm pretty confident that they want to surprise and they're going to surprise.
This is Simon Fudge for Soccer Talk here on CIL 650. This Women's World Cup preview brought to you by findaproperty.ca. Andreas, you said that you think the Swiss can surprise. In what way specifically do you think that they can hurt Canada tomorrow?
If they get to score an early goal, I think with all the pressure of the crowd that Canada's facing here, when they get to score at early goals, Switzerland, I think everything's possible for them.
Talk actually about Switzerland's backline and with their captain. They're a very sturdy backline, very well organized. Do you think that they could stop Christine Sinclair in the Canadian attack?
That's the thing about the Swiss defense. They didn't get that much attention as they actually deserve. The thing is that with Caroline Abbé, she was injured in the last game. She's going to play tomorrow. She's a great player. She's playing in Bayern Munich. She is captain there too, I think. And she's actually very important for that team. And I think when she's there organizing the defense, I think they can stop Sinclair and Schmidt.
Finally, your prediction for a score tomorrow. And will it be an extra time result or a penalty shootout result?
I'm going to be confident and say 1-0 for Switzerland with a goal in the last minute.
All right, Simon, let's break down this game a little bit. We already touched on it a little bit, but Canada definitely needs to play better if they are going to get past the Swiss, who I think maybe have the ability to surprise a few people.
Oh, absolutely. I think they're a side that has shown glimpses of what they are capable of doing even in this tournament, and I certainly think in the years ahead. I am a huge fan of Ramona Batman. She, to me, when I've seen her play, particularly in the 2 games here in Vancouver, she plays in another gear to a lot of the players around her, and that's what makes her really the player that Canada's got to watch out for. She has a bit of a change of pace, a turn, a bit of ability, particularly in attacking third areas, that could really open up games, create a chance, and if she's given that opportunity, especially early on in the game, Switzerland could then take the lead, and then I really then have some serious questions. If trailing, if Canada can then find a way of turning it around.
We've already talked about the fact that Christine Sinclair needs to step up, but she's not the only one. She isn't necessarily the only one. Everyone's going to key on her, like the Whitecaps did with Kian Sproles, getting that support from somebody that you don't necessarily think about. Yeah, Sophie Schmidt is somebody that they've all talked about as needing to step up, but they need somebody else to really step their game up and surprise, I think, a few people. And if Canada really wants to move on.
Absolutely. It really is actually an effort of at least 3 or 4 players that really need to step up, and we actually haven't really seen that yet. Ashley Lawrence may be one of those players that can do it, and it is a bit of a question mark for me. If they get enough of those players to really step up. Some talk today, obviously, about the fitness of Diana Matheson. Can she come in off the bench, provide a bit of a spark when they need it? We'll have to wait and see. She's not match fit, so you really can't expect her to be a massive game changer. It really does, at the end of the day, come down to thinking about 3 or 4 players that have gone out, really stepped up, made a difference. Can only think of maybe 1 to 1.5 at this moment in time going into this game.
That game happens Sunday afternoon, 4:30, the kickoff. What will happen? Can Canada make it through to the next round? We find out, and we will find out tomorrow afternoon. Now over to the Americans, who played at BC Place Stadium earlier this week and will now head off to Edmonton. And Alex Morgan talking about some of the atmosphere at BC Place, but just in general of those USA matches.
The atmosphere is great. I mean, it felt like a home game, honestly. It felt like we were in the U.S., and I alone had about 30 to 40 family members here, so I felt the support for sure.
A lot of support, Simon. It was pretty loud at BC Place the other day, but I know from some people that I know in Winnipeg, it was very, very loud there as well.
Unbelievable, the sort of almost the 48-hour build-up to that game from sort of the Sunday night in through. I was with our good friend Jonathan Tannenwald when he was here, obviously covering the game in the build-up to all that, and to even meet some members of the American Outlaws. They really did come in their droves to really back this team, and it really was a little piece of the United States in Vancouver and BC Place on Tuesday night, and it was quite remarkable. And in some ways, from a soccer fan's point of view and someone who wants to back the women's game, an encouraging thing to see, because the women we say it time and again, they deserve the attention and the support for what they do at this level. The level of football is very, very good and is just getting better. So it was an encouraging thing that certainly one of the better teams, one of the bigger teams, could get that kind of support here. And it just made it exciting. It made the feeling of the tournament exciting, and even the games to come. And that's why I'm particularly excited about what we're going to get to see tomorrow afternoon.
Abby Wambach. Oh, Abby. She's got great personality and I think is very dynamic, very interesting to listen to in terms of interviews. She's got a great personality and I think can really sell this game. And, well, she's going to talk in this next interview about scoring goals. It's very hard and, well, you probably can guess where this one's going.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's important that people understand, scoring goals is not that easy, right? And I'm not making any excuses. I need to finish chances that are handed to me, and all of us on my team would agree that if you're given a chance, you got to take advantage of it. But that being said, the turf does make the ball bounce differently. It makes you think differently about the game, and that's just the reality. So those are what my comments meant. And today, it feels great to help my team win this game, to help my team advance #1 in the group. I can't remember the last time we've done that, so that feels actually pretty good.
What are your thoughts on this BC Play surface, the new surface here, how it played today?
I mean, this stadium is awesome. So loud. The fans were incredible. Our goal is to get back here, right? Get back here in 20 days, I think it is. The surface played fast because it was wet. Still a little, weird bounces here or there, and I think you can see those moments as they happen on the pitch. But those are going to happen. It's the way it is.
Yeah, it looks like you. Does it feel better on your body? Sort of decided, all right, I've got to deal with this, right?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, we can sit all day and talk about it. You know me, I can talk a blue streak, but the reality is it's not changing, and I'm not making excuses. And I think that's what maybe I got wrong the other day, and of course, I'm not going to get into a war with you guys. You guys, that's your job. It's awesome that we're talking about women's football. It's awesome that we're having some of these discussions. It's awesome that we're kind of analyzing and hyper-dissecting some things that we all say. For me, that means there's growth. And even if it's kind of hard on my PR guy, I'm like, hey, man, this is all good stuff. We're talking about women's football one way or another.
So how do you 70 goals? I'm sure you don't lack confidence, but getting one tonight, does that kind of set you up now and allow you just to play the rest of this tournament?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you can score a goal in a tournament, you quote-unquote monkey off your back or whatever. I've never thought like that. I just think if I score goals, I'm helping my team win games and advancing throughout the tournament. And now it's a do or die, right? We've got to win to move on. And that changes kind of the way, not necessarily we'll play, but the way that maybe the games will feel, and having the confidence going into those games is big.
There's Abby Wambach. Yeah. I do like what she said there, though. She doesn't like the turf. She kind of blamed the turf. But she did have that caveat that, hey, we're all playing on it. But to the game upcoming for them against Colombia, it is their round of 16 opponent, and this is what Megan Rapinoe had to say about those Colombians.
I think just keep being aggressive. I mean, I think that during the first half and right at the beginning of the second half, we were aggressive. We weren't going at teams. It leaves us a little bit exposed at the back, but I think that we can handle that there, and if we're firing at teams, that's going to put them on the back foot.
That's what she thinks they have to do, but like I said, Nigeria had them a little bit on that speed on the counter, and probably should have scored 1 or 2 goals. And Simon, I know that you think Colombia might have a chance to do that against the States and maybe surprise them a little bit.
They got some speed and skill to give them a problem or two, but if the Americans are up for it and they're in that mood where they mean business, they should be able to make the quarterfinals.
Our coverage of the women's game is brought to you by findaproperty.ca. Whether you're buying or selling your home, visit findaproperty.ca. Whitecaps were winners 2-1 in New York, New Jersey in reality. We'll talk about that and hear from Keans Froese and David Osted next.
Follow us on Twitter at Soccer Talk 650 and at Tyler Green FC. This is Soccer Talk on CIL 650.
What do you want?
A balcony so high it looks down into soccer matches at BC Place.
A pub I can walk to with a dozen big screens.
Kevin O'Toole has created findaproperty.ca to help you find it. Designed to be simply straightforward, findaproperty.ca is an invaluable tool. That's Kevin O'Toole, Royal LePage, Sussex, for buyers and sellers in the greater Vancouver area like you. So find what you want.
A backyard big enough for my own soccer pitch.
At findaproperty.ca.
BC Soccer, the provincial sport governing body responsible for the promotion and development of soccer in BC, is a professional, not-for-profit society committed to inspiring British Columbians to lifelong active, inclusive, and team play. BC Soccer would like to thank their partners as well as the players, referees, coaches, volunteer administrators, and other soccer leaders who dedicate thousands of hours to this beautiful game. For information on getting involved in soccer, coaching courses, referee courses, and any other BC Soccer program, visit bcsoccer.net.
It's the perfect team. Destination Mazda and Tyler Green. Get them working for you to find the perfect vehicle to fit your needs, whether it's a new Mazda or pre-owned vehicle. With 0% financing, up to $1,000 in conquest dollars on select models, and Mazda's unlimited warranty, you've got to see Tyler Green at Destination Mazda. 1595 Boundary at First in Vancouver. Or email tgreen@destinationauto.ca to book an appointment. Or test drive the Mazda 3, CX-5, or all-new CX-3. Tyler's got yours.
Not that your stylist at the salon isn't doing a good job, but man, you deserve the big red leather barber chair experience of Barber & Co. Here's how it works. Go to barberandco.ca. Book your appointment at one of the 5 barber shops in Gastown, Yaletown, the Financial District, Cambie at 18th, and now Main Street and 12th Avenue. You can just walk in, too, and get your hair cut, hot shave, buzz cut, fade, or beard trim experience. A great wedding party idea, too. barberandco.ca.
This summer, Canada's women's national team will be wearing Umbro jerseys as they play for glory in the world's most prestigious tournament. Umbro, the official uniform and gear supplier to the Canadian Soccer Association, is a supporter of all soccer, from local teams to the world stage. It's also the name worn by the world's top players. If you want your club to play a world-class game, equip and dress them in world-class gear. Find it at umbro.com. Umbro, tailoring football since 1924.
What do you want?
A balcony so high it looks down into soccer matches at BC Place.
A pub I can walk to with a dozen big screens.
Kevin O'Toole has created findaproperty.ca to help you find it. Designed to be simply straightforward, findaproperty.ca is an invaluable tool. That's Kevin O'Toole, Royal LePage, Sussex, for buyers and sellers in the greater Vancouver area like you. So find what you want.
A backyard big enough for my own soccer pitch.
At findaproperty.ca.
This is Soccer Talk on CIL 650. Now broadcasting from the Barber & Co. studios. Here's your host, Tyler Green.
It is time for the final cut, brought to you by Barber & Co. on Twitter at Barber & Co. There's 5 full-service barbershops for your big haircut, hot shave, buzz cut, fade, and beard trim. Get the ultimate barbershop experience. 5 locations to serve you. Gastown, Yaletown, the Financial District, Cambie and 18th, and on the corner of Main and 12th. And check out barberandco.ca for some of the latest Barber & Co. products, like some pomade. I use that. A lot of cool hair stuff that you can get, because they don't want you to buy at the drugstore. They want you to get some good product from barberandco.ca. Vancouver Whitecaps beat the New York Red Bulls in New Jersey on Saturday. 2-1 the final. And hey, it was David Osted, the big story, as he saved 2 penalties.
I think the first one was really important. They came out guns blazing, and that would have capped a good first 10 minutes for them. So important to save that and keep us in the game. And then right after they get the red card, and we go up and score. So that was definitely important. And the second one, well, even more, keeps the lead for us, keeps us going forward. So two important PK saves.
It's 1-0. You've already stopped the penalty. Referee points to the spot. What's going through your mind at that point?
Oh my God, not again?
Save the second one. Why not? No, I try to stay positive and think my mind goes straight to where you can shoot. Big credit to the guys that does our video. That every time we play shows me 10 PKs and shows me what the guys normally do on PK. So a big job that they do to keep me ready. And my fault was just to go in and try to save the second.
Which was bigger? Which was harder? The 2 PKs or the one you made on Sanchez where you had to dive and stab it?
The PK is always difficult. It's an open chance and no one's pressuring him, so PKs are always difficult. Luckily, I got 2 today and then we got the win.
Not to be lost on David Osted's performance, though, Kian's Froze breaks up the play, and then he finishes it to give the Caps their second goal. It turns out to be the game winner. Here's Kian's Froze talking about his first MLS goal.
I just saw a ball that was passed a bit light, and then I ran to try and touch it to Octavio, and then we ended up countering, and he played me through, and it ended in a goal.
There you have it. It ends up being the game winner. The Red Bulls get one a little bit late in the 81st or 2nd minute. And David Osted had to make some big saves late on to keep that scoreline there. But the 2 big PK saves was the big story. And for me, yeah, he made the saves, but kind of getting lost is the fact that Stephen Beitashour, the cause of both of those PKs and both of those plays, they didn't need to be PKs.
No, I mean he was certainly late in the early penalty and with his challenge in taking out Sal Zizzo, and the second one absolutely there was no need for him to be trying to hold down his marker as the ball was coming across. The guy was never going to get on the end of that cross. So, yeah, he has to take some responsibility for having conceded both of those penalties, even though he remonstrated with the referee in both cases.
Very, very quickly, Simon, the U23 squad for the Pan Am Games, the Canada men team for the Pan Am Games, the women's team for the Pan Am Games also selected. Any big surprises on the men's side for you?
Well, Ben McKendry being left out of the side, I think, is a particular surprise. Here's a guy that's been playing particularly every minute almost, or being a regular in the Whitecaps FC2 squad, eligible for that team, looking ahead to Olympic qualifying and potentially even playing in the Olympics. For him to be left out, and the likes of Caleb Clark and Jackson Farmer being the only, I think, 2 WSC2 players to be picked, was a bit of a surprise.
Meanwhile, on the women's side, I would agree with you on that, on McKendry, but still some nice names there. You have a guy like Hansen Bokai getting the call, Kevin Alleman as well getting the call for that squad, Ben Fisk getting the squad, Caleb Clark as well. So very nice kind of different mix of players. So it's going to be interesting to see this team and how many of these guys then move on for that Olympic qualifying tournament that happens later in the year. It's going to be interesting to see. And then guys like Kian's Froze, do they make the Gold Cup squad? That's going to be interesting to see as well. Meanwhile, the women's squad was selected. A lot of youngsters in this, but not many members of the Women's World Cup squad, but there are a couple. There's Ashley Lawrence, there's Stephanie LeBay, there's Jessie Fleming, Candisha Buchanan, but very much a younger squad for this. Maybe to give the women that are at the World Cup a little bit of a break afterwards, but also I think to see what is coming next for this Canadian women's team as well.
Yeah, it's the inevitable situation. Once this Women's World Cup is over, the biggest job for John Herdman and the program is to turn the corner and bring the next generation of players through. This will be the first opportunity that they'll have to do that, and they've got to use it wisely because how we look over the next 2 years, 4 years, it has to be very, very different. And the biggest job we've got in front of us is being able to keep up with the Joneses, as they say. The women's game is getting better all the time. There are other countries that are really moving rapidly better with their programs. And if we're not careful, we're going to be falling behind quite quickly if we don't address bringing through a new generation, potentially more talented generation players through.
For the crew here at Soccer Talk, my co-host Simon Fudge. You can find him at goal.com and on Twitter at SimonFudge74. There's producer Greg the Hammer Ballack. A special thank you, as always, to Thomas Rage and Fred Anco. My name's Tyler Green. You can read me in 24 Hours Vancouver on Wednesday and follow me at Tyler Green FC. And be sure to download the Soccer Talk podcast powered by Big Rock Urban. Whether it's before or after the big game, Big Rock Urban is just a 10-minute walk from BC Place. Keep that in mind for Sunday and that Canadian women's national team. Find them at 310 4th Avenue West or online at BigRockUrban.com. Find the podcast at CL650.com or search Soccer Talk on iTunes and just hit subscribe. The Soccer Talk podcast, powered by Big Rock Urban. Soccer Talk returns to your radio dial next Saturday at 10 p.m. right here on CL 650.
The Straight Razor Shave, a leading man classic. Steady hand coaxing the rugged face back to smoothness. This nearly lost art has found revival at Barber & Co. Hot towel, straight edge blade, and your face. It's an experience that reminds you you're alive. You're a man in the company of history's finest men. Start at barberandco.ca. Pick your barbershop in Yaletown, Gastown, the Financial District, Cambiet 18th, and now Main Street and 12th Avenue. And relax into the big leather chair for the shave of your life.
What do you want?
A balcony so high it looks down into soccer matches at BC Place.
A pub I can walk to with a dozen big screens.
Kevin O'Toole has created findaproperty.ca to help you find it. Designed to be simply straightforward, findaproperty.ca is an invaluable tool. That's Kevin O'Toole, Royal LePage, Sussex, for buyers and sellers in the greater Vancouver area like you. So find what you want.
A backyard big enough for my own soccer pitch.
At findaproperty.ca.
It's the perfect team. Destination Mazda and Tyler Green. Get them working for you to find the perfect vehicle to fit your needs, whether it's a new Mazda or pre-owned vehicle. With 0% financing, up to $1,000 in Conquest dollars on select models, and Mazda's unlimited warranty, you've got to see Tyler Green at Destination Mazda. 1595 Boundary at First in Vancouver. Or email tgreen@destinationauto.ca to book an appointment. Or test drive the Mazda 3 CX-5 or all-new CX-3. Tyler's got your